And let's see. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Okay, so let's get started. We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and can you take out your notepads and tell me which chapter are we reading and why is it so famous? And let me look at the chat messages that you are transmitting here. And then the pranams to devotees on Facebook. Good to see you here. All right, so what are we doing in Srimad Bhagavatam these days? We are doing the prayers of Queen Kunti. Yes, and we are doing 8th chapter. So how many prayers of Queen Kunti did we discuss till today? Do you want to rake your brains and try to remember? Or anything that you remember from what we have been discussing? You can look at your notes. You can open the book and find out what have we been discussing. How many prayers from Queen Kunti? It's a very silent group today. You can guess 1, 2, 10, 17. So we have discussed 18 prayers of Queen Kunti. Okay, anybody does not agree with this figure? You can speak up now. Sadhana Mataji says we discussed chariot and travels and yojanas. That was on Saturday. Sukumal Radhe says none, and that is the right answer. Thank you very much. Because we have not yet discussed Queen Kunti's prayer, so that was a trick question. But you should know, you are reading Bhagavatam, you should know what we are discussing. So what were we discussing? What was happening to whom? From the beginning. Last 17 verses, what was happening? Who was being tortured? Do you remember who was being tortured? Yes, Uttara. I will read that as Uttara, right? Vaishnavati So Uttara, yes. And what was chasing her? Who was torturing Uttara? So yeah, so you all say that Brahmas was chasing, right, Uttara. And who had unleashed the Brahmas on her? Ashwathama, right. And then who saved? Krishna. And Krishna saved whom? The child Parikshit Maharaj, right? Okay. Okay, so that episode has happened. Right? Krishna has saved Uttara. And now from today, we will start doing the prayers of Queen Kunti. Right? So remember, in the first canto, 8th chapter, prayers of Queen Kunti start from verse number 18. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. All right, so let's see. I'm going to start sharing the screen with you and we will read the verse from today. Very, very famous first verse from the prayers of Queen Kunti. Kuntya vacha namasye purusham tvadyam ishvaram prakrte param alaksham sarvabhutanam antarbahiravastitam. Kuntya vacha namasye purusham tvadyam ishvaram prakrite param alaksham sarvabhutanam antarbahiravastitam. So let's look at the synonyms. Kunti Vacha is easy, we know by now. Kunti said. Namasye means she is doing namaskar, namaha. So she is saying, let me bow down. So she is bowing down. She's saying, and let me bow down. Purusham, the supreme person. Tva, you. Adyam, the original. Ishwaram, the controller. Prakritehe, of the material cosmos or this material world. Param is beyond. Alaksham, invisible, the invisible. Sarva, all. Bhutanam, of living beings. Antaha, within. Bahihi, without. Avasthitam, existing. Okay, so some key words here. First is that she's saying, let me bow down to you. What is the relationship between Kunti and Lord Krishna? So she is Krishna's aunt, right? She's Krishna's aunt on the father's side. Okay, she's father, sister, like that. So that's a relationship. She's the aunt and she's saying, let me bow down. Something to note. Then Purusham, the supreme person. So you have to remember if the word Purusham is indicating that there is a personality there, so supreme person. So she believes in the, the form of the Lord. Adyam is original. Ishwaram is controller. Alaksham is invisible. And Antabahir Avasthitam means that he is within and without. Bahir Narsingha Hirdaye Narsingho Narsingham Madim Sharanam Prapadye, right? So Narsingham is inside, Narsingham is outside, like that. So she's describing the Lord in these words. And let's look at the translation by Srila Prabhupada and the purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, and yet you are invisible to all. Purport. Srimati Kunti Devi was quite aware that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead although he was playing the part of her nephew. Such an enlightening lady could not commit a mistake by offering obeisances unto her nephew. Therefore, she addressed him as the original Purusha beyond the material cosmos. Although all living entities are also transcendental, they are neither original nor infallible. The living entities are apt to fall down under the clutches of material nature, but the Lord is never like that. In the Vedas, therefore, it is described as the chief, he is described as the chief among all living entities. Nityo Nityanam. So among the eternal, right? He is the chief eternal, Nityanam, right? Nityo means chief eternal, Nityanam means among the eternals. Then Chetanas, they mean those who have got consciousness. He's the Chetanam. He's the Chetanash, the supreme conscious person among the Chetananam, among those who are conscious. So then again, he's addressed as Ishvara, or the controller. The living entities or the demigod like Surya and Chandra are also to some extent Ishvara, but none of them is the supreme Ishvara or the ultimate controller. He is the Parameshwar or the super soul. He is both within and without. Although he was present before Kunti as her nephew, he was also within her and everyone else. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, the Lord says, I am situated in everyone's heart, and only due to me one remembers, forgets, and is cognizant, etc. Through all the Vedas, I am to be known because I am the compiler of the Vedas. And I am the teacher of the Vedanta. Vedanta Krit Vedavid Evachaham. I am to be known because I am the compiler of the Vedas and I am the teachers of the Vedanta. I am the teacher of the Vedanta. Queen Kunti affirms that the Lord, although both within and without all living beings, is still invisible. The Lord is, so to speak, a puzzle for the common man. Queen Kunti experienced personally that Lord Krishna was present before her, yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Ashwathama's Brahmastra, as you all have already confirmed to me. Kunti herself was puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. In fact, he is both, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to people who are not surrendered souls. This checking curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebellious soul. It is explained as follows. So in the next verse, Kunti Maharani is going to further talk about, how about the curtain that falls and how people are not able to recognize Lord Krishna like that. Okay. So we will go and spend a little bit of time because we want to be familiar with some of the words, the key words that that were brought up. And so can you tell me what is the Sanskrit for original? What's the Sanskrit for original? And Adyam, right? Yes, Adyam, Adi, from Adi, or the original, or the Adi means the first, or the beginning. Okay, and then what is, if somebody is invisible, what do you call? If somebody is invisible. Right. And if somebody is outside, what do you call that? Somebody is outside. Bahi, yes, okay. Bahi says all of you, and that is correct. And then if somebody's inside, what will you say in Sanskrit? Okay, I got a couple of antas, and that is correct. And then if somebody is beyond, what will you say? Beyond is param. Very good. Okay, yes, got it. Sumi Mataji, Meera Mataji, and Sukumal Radhe Mataji. Okay, coming up. Answers are coming up, so which is good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to spend some time looking at these attributes that have been described here. And just so that we know that tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the evening, we're going to start having the japa for an hour, and it'll be followed by kirtan for an hour. So tomorrow's class slots, the slot that we usually have for Brahma Samhita, we're going to use that slot for prayers for the suffering souls who are in the throes of COVID-19. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and you all are invited. Actually, tomorrow is a special day also, in the sense from 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the night, the ISP devotees will be doing non-stop vibrations of the holy names of the Lord. And these vibrations can come in the form of prayers or arti or kirtan or bhajan and so on and so forth. Right? Okay. So keep that in mind. And okay, Vindhyavali Mataji. Yes, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And Khyati will post it, we will post all that, right? So, you know, quite a few people from our team have got relatives really sick in India, and not only, and from our team, like, you know, almost anybody that we know has got one family member sick or some known person, close person sick like that. So, so that is where we are. Okay, so now let's look at these, these particular characteristics that Kunti Maharani has, you know, described. Okay, so the first thing that she said, Namaste Purusham. Okay, Adyam. Okay, and am I sharing? Let's stop sharing. Let me start sharing it with you again so that you don't lose track of the words. So Namaste Purusham, Twa Adyam. So let me say, Twa means you, Adyam means the original, right? So where in Brahma Samhita do you know that he is the original? Which verse of Brahma Samhita tells you that? Brahma Samhita. Because we're not going to have Brahma Samhita tomorrow, so we're going to have Brahma Samhita today. Right? And correct, Sukomal Radhe Mataji. And Varshana and Virabha 5.1, right? And what does it say? Ishvara Parma Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Okay, and then we have some more words, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it in the chat window so that you can see the words right in front of your eyes, right? And I'm going to talk to you. So let me just also bring this here so that I can see you all. And let's pick up some more words from here. So Namaste, we understand. Namaha, she's doing Namaste. Purusham Tvadyam, so she has described that Krishna is the original, right? He's the original creator. And we see support from the Brahma Samhita on that Krishna is indeed, right? He's the creation. And we heard and we read in Brahma Samhita last time, where we were talking about how Krishna expands himself, and then ultimately through some Chaturvyuhas, we ultimately come to Narayan or Mahavishnu, and from the pores of the body of Mahavishnu come out so many universes, right? And then he enters the universes and becomes, you know, Garbhodakshay Vishnu and also Shirodakshay Vishnu, right? So we read about those, we talked about those three Vishnus last Saturday, like that. So then Ishvara, Namaste Purusham Tvadyam, Ishvaram, you can look at your chat window. Ishvaram Prakrite Param, Alaksham Sarvabhutanam. So Ishvaram, he is a controller, right? Krishna is a controller. And how do we know that he is the controller? we see that there were so many instances in the Shastras where we know that Krishna is the controller, right? One is Ishvara Parma Krishna, Ishvara Parma Krishna. So Ishvara, it's starting from there, that Krishna is the Ishvara. So if somebody is going to ask you for documentary evidence, right? So here Kunti Maharani is saying certain things and she's using some qualifications for Krishna. So we have to back it up with Shastras. Obviously, Queen Kunti knows the Shastras and that's why she's saying these words, right? But for our own, edification, we have to understand that, okay, where does it say that? Where does it say that? Okay, so today evening, we are just going to do that. So Ishvara Parama Krishna takes care of that also. Okay? Ishvaram Prakrite. So Prakrite is this material nature. Okay? And in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, right? In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we know there's a little description of what are the constituents of this material world. And it says, Bhumi apo analo vayu kham mano buddhir evacha ahankara itiyam me bhinna prakriti ashtada. So 7th chapter, right? Verse number 4, it says that. Okay. So which is basically saying that earth, water, fire, air, and ether and mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are my 8 separated energies, right? So he talks about, and Prakriti is made of that. But here, our verse from today says, Ishvaram, you're the controller of Prakriti, Param, right? You are beyond that. So how is he, right? If all this is material world, then Krishna has got to be different because it's saying, I am Param, I am beyond, right? So you said that today, that Param means beyond, or beyond means Param, like that, right? So again, in the 7th chapter itself, in the very next verse, after Krishna describes the Prakriti, and which is Bhumi Apo Anala Vayu, he immediately says, Aparameyas itastanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. So he said, okay, these are my 8 energies, but then beyond that, right? Beyond all these, right? And Mahabaho, so he's addressing Arjuna as the Mahabaho. He's saying that there is another energy, there's another superior energy of mind, right? And that superior energy is the living entities, right? But what are these little jiva souls doing? What are these living entities doing? Which are beyond the material nature, right? So he's saying that aparameyam, so beyond that, right? Aparameyam is inferior, but they are, beyond. Prakriti vidhi me param. So he's saying there also, param, he says that. So, but he's saying, jiva bhuta mahavo yayedam dharyate jagat. So he's saying that these little jiva souls who are actually, beyond the material nature, they are sitting here in this material world and they are exploiting, or in other words, they are enjoying this material world. Okay. So, but he's saying that souls are Aparameyam, and we know that Krishna is the soul of all the souls. So he's also Aparameyam. So Ishvara, Namasya Purusham Tadyam, Ishvaram Prakrite Param. Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam. So now comes that Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam. Right? So Alakshya means, what does the meaning of Alakshyam? That you cannot see. You cannot see Krishna. And we have evidence of that, right? From the Shastra and from the stories of the Shastras that we have evidence that Krishna was there. He was walking on this earth. There were so many people who were looking at Krishna, but they could not see that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even when Krishna goes and for Sandhi with the peace treaty to the Kauravas, and he's in the assembly of Duryodhana, and there he shows his little Vishvarupa, right? Not everybody in the assembly is able to see him. So again, we have to remember that not everybody is qualified to see Krishna, although Krishna can be everywhere. So he says, Alakshya Sarva Bhutanam. And Krishna says that. Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the 11th verse, very, very famous 11th verse, he says, Avajananti ma mura manushim tanum ashrita param bhavam na janato Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. So he says that Avajananti Mamura. Those who are less intelligent, they do not know me. They just think that, I am a human. I'm just like another human being, right? So Alakshyam, he will not be visible. And, we talked about that there is a distance, and also to be able to go and achieve certain things, you always will need to have the qualification. For example, this is Friday, and there are millions here in USA and many more millions in India, but only a handful have joined this class, right? What are the others doing? Some of them are, ordering pizza, some are ordering beer, some are, out there, getting drunk, and so on and so forth. But only a handful come here. Why can't they come here? Right? It is being published on Facebook. So why can't they just sit on Facebook and watch it? They do not have the necessary qualifications. So unless you don't have the necessary qualification, you cannot do certain things. It applies to material world also in general, but in the spiritual world, it is very, very prominent that unless you have the qualifications to do something, you will not be able to get it. You can purchase a copy of Bhagavad Gita, you won't be able to read it. Even if you say, I'm going to read it because I have eyes, you won't be able to understand it unless you have the qualifications. So qualifications become very, very are of paramount importance, especially when you're pursuing the spiritual literature like that. So Namashe Purusham Tvadyam, the original, Ishvaram Prakrite Param, Alakshyam Sarvabhutanam. So Sarvasya Chaham, sorry, Manushanam, he says, right? Mam Avajananti Mamura, Manushim Tanu Avshritam. So he says that I'm not visible. Now I said that you need to have the qualifications though, right? You need to have the qualifications to be able to see the Lord. And when will you be able to see the Lord, right? Lord comes in this material world in many, many different forms, right? And if you were to go to Brahma Samhita, which is our favorite scripture these days, he talks about Rama Dimurti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Vataram Akarod Bhuvanishu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavavat Parama Pumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So what it is basically saying is that I worship the Lord, Govindam Adi Purusham, Adi Purusham, again, that he's the original. Every of these verses is pointing that out, but is saying, I worship the primary Lord Govinda. And who is the primary Lord Govinda? Who has manifested himself personally as Krishna, right? And Nana avatars, the different types of avatars. So can you tell me what are the different types of avatars that Krishna has comes to this world in the form of? So Rama is one, okay. Any other avatars? Kurma is another one. Very good. Nrsimha is another one. All right. Matsya. There you go. There you go. Rama. Okay. Kurma. Varaha. Good. Matsya. Purushuram. Yes, Yadi Mataji. Okay, good. So he comes there in the various forms. Okay. Now, but then, that he comes there. And then we also saw that Alakshya is, not everybody can see him. So he might come, but people might not recognize that he's the Lord, right? So, and then of course he comes at scheduled points in time, he comes there. So I might not even know that Krishna has come and this is Krishna, right? If I'm not qualified enough, I won't be able to see it. So for us, what we do is we do what is known as Arch Vigraha. And this is Krishna's special mercy on us, that he comes to us in the form of a deity and allows us to give him our service through that particular form, because he's Alakshay. We cannot see him otherwise. Right now, we are not well qualified enough to do that, right? And how do we serve? How much does a deity want from you? Krishna says and clarifies that in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 26, where he says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yeme bhaktya prayachyati tat aham bhakti uparitam asnami prayatatmanaha, right? So he's just saying that, just give me a little water, a leaf, a fruit, a flower. That's all that he wants. Because Krishna it's not that he's hungry for the food that we're going to put in front of him. He's the supreme controller. He's the Adi. He's the origin of all the food that we create. So he really doesn't need it. What he's actually looking is your love. And so when you offer him bhoga, what he accepts is the love that you gave to him through that bhoga. And once your eyes are anointed, anointed, you put the ointment of love in your eyes, then you will be able to see Krishna everywhere. Everywhere. And again, Brahma Samhita comes to our rescue. It says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadev Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So it's saying that if you have got Premanjan, the ointment of prema in your eyes, right? Then, the devotees will see me. And where do they see you? They will see Krishna in their hearts, right? Premanjana. So they will see that, right? So alaksham sarva bhutanam, although he's alaksham, to sarva means to majority, a big majority of them, he's alakshya, they cannot see him, but he is visible to those who love Krishna purely, like that. Alaksham sarva bhutanam antar bahir avastitam. Antar bahir avastitam means that he is inside and then he is outside also. Okay. So if you were to take this universe, and now this is a quiz on the class that we took last Saturday. So if this is the universe, give me the name of one form of Krishna which is outside of this universe. One name of Krishna which is outside this universe. If this is the universe, give me one name that is outside and is always, that form is always outside, right? Mahavishnu, correct. Okay. Now give me one form which is inside the universe. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Garbhodakshayi. Okay. Yes. And can you give me one more inside the universe? Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, right? So at a gross level, when we are saying, Kunti is saying, Antar Bahir Avasthitam, you are inside and you are outside also. So what does it mean? At a gross level, if you take a universe, there is Krishna as Mahavishnu outside, and inside, at a minimum, he's there as the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, we say that, right? Now, we can make it a little bit more complicated and a little bit more detailed by saying that, this is not how it is. I mean, this is how it is, but it is a little bit more involved. And there's a verse from Srimad, from Brahma Samhita, which says, Eko pyasau rachayitum jagadanda kotim yachaktirasti jagadanda chaya yadantaha andantarasa paramanu chayantarastham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. And the key word over here is andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham, right? So anda, we know the universe, okay? And so Krishna is there, Krishna is there in all these millions of universes that are there. He is there, and not just as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, actually, he is there in each and every atom, right? Andantarastha paramanu. Paramanu means atom, right? So he's also Chayantarastham. He's also inside the atoms. So when Kunti is saying Antar Bahir Avasthitam, she's talking of, that great details, right? And then, so he's there in the atom. He's also there in your heart, right? Sarvasya Chaham Hidi Sannivishto, right? Hidi Sannivishto, I'm there, very close. Sannivishto, very, very close to the soul. Right there, next to where the soul lives, I'm there in the heart, okay? And then, of course, Krishna says, Hirdeshe Arjun Tishtati in the Bhagavad Gita again also. Krishna says that, okay? So, Antarbahir Avasthitam. So these are the description of Krishna as Kunti Maharani is just beginning to pray. She's just beginning to pray to Krishna, and Krishna is there. Prabhupada says in the purport that he is there standing outside her, Antarbahir Avasthitam, with respect to Kunti also. He's there standing in front of her. But then he is also inside her heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hirdeshe Arjun Tishtati. Right? Bhamayan Sarva Bhutani Rantarurani Vayaya. So I am there in the heart of everybody and I'm guiding them, and they get guided just as a driver guides the vehicle, right? A yantra gets guided from here to there. Okay. So I'm going to stop here and open up the lines for reflections. And let's see. You can raise your hands, and I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself also, so that we can have some interaction, and I can take your reflections or questions. Okay. Anything that you heard, anything that stuck in your mind, any other questions here or related to this or any previous lectures that we did, let us know. Vaishana Mataji has got her hand raised, and let's see what is she saying.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavad Pranam. Mataji, Lord says that he is within and without. And we need Chakshu to see him, the Divya Drishti to see him. But at least once he should give a chance to see him, so that we develop that faith which we are trying to. Sometimes you get so disappointed that I'm trying and I'm not getting it, but I want it. So what should be done, Mataji? There is a lack in us, no doubt, but somewhere a little bit of his, he should show himself to us. What should be done for that?
Yes, I can understand the mood. I can understand the sentiment and also the disappointment from not being able to see him. And remember the story of the cobbler that we talked about?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Yes, I remember that story.
Yeah. So, right. So who won? The cobbler won in the end, because no matter what Krishna said about when he's going to give darshan, it was millions of births later, because as many leaves as on the tamarind tree, he was satisfied. So as you grow in your devotional service, what's going to happen is you are going to change the way you interact with Krishna. From those who are, Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna artho jigyasu arthati jnanicha bharata rishabha. The 4 types of people approach Krishna, right? The ones that are artho are the worst, right? Because there's nothing wrong. They're not even in distress. They just want something more, right? So from that level where we think that Krishna is the order supplier and Krishna should do this and Krishna should do that, right? For me, right? To fulfill my material desires, we graduate to the next level and we say, okay, now I have spiritual desires. But Krishna, you are the order supplier. Chetana, eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. So there's only one Krishna and he has to satisfy the desires of all of them, and he does that, right? From there, you go to a higher stage where all that you're saying is that I don't care. And the last verse of Sikshataman just says that I don't care what you do. Whether you love me or you dump me, I will still love you. Right? So it takes gradually, but you have to constantly make that mood, and then try to have just one, keep this one thing in your mind, that whatever Krishna does for us, does for our good. And sometimes you can go through excruciating circumstances, about complete confusion. You're seeking advice, you're getting, conflicting, vyamishrena vakyana, conflicting advice you're getting. And at the bottom, just say that, continue to pray to Krishna and say that, Krishna, there has to be something right coming out of this for me, because I know that you always think of the right of everyone. So it's not that Krishna is punishing you and he's hiding himself from you and doing it deliberately to you. Krishna is actually there, present everywhere, right? The problem is with us, with our eyes. And there's a very famous verse there in one of the scriptures, and it says, "Athashi Krishna namadi nam bhaved grahyam indriye sevan mekho hi jivyada swayam ev spuratyada." So what it says, Athashi Krishna Nam Adi. So Krishna's name, his paraphernalia, his flute, clothes. Na bhaved grahyam indriye. You will not be able to see them through your senses, the material senses. Sevan mukho hi jivyadao. But if you start, adao means first, right? We saw that. Namaste Purusham Tvadyam. Adya means first, beginning. So, Sevan mukho hi jivado, but if you start serving Sevan mukh, right? If you turn towards doing seva, Sevan mukho, how do you start the seva? You start the seva first with the tongue. Sevan mukho hi jivha, jivha means tongue, jivado. Begin with serving the Lord with the tongue. So again, you can serve the Lord with the tongue in two ways. One is that you serve him through by the lower way of doing it, and that is that you go and serve him by honoring prasadam. That's one thing that jiva can do, right? The other thing is that you serve him by glorifying. Hidamag bagurbe vidadhan namaste, right? You use your heart, your mind, your words, and your body. You use all of them for praising and glorifying the Lord. So when you do that, Sevan Mikho Hijivhado, Swayam Eva Spuratya. Swayam E means by itself. Spuratya means he will manifest. So all that you have to do is continue to glorify, continue to chant, and don't focus on the result. Because what if Krishna did not come and show you like you would want him to see, but he's there in the temple. When you go to your temple, the NVCC temple, Mataji, tomorrow, or whenever you go there, then Krishna is there in the Archa Vigraha form, and that Archa Vigraha is actually Krishna. And that Archa Vigraha form is actually what's the word I'm looking for? An authorized form. It's an authorized form through which Krishna accepts your services. It's authorized, and the deity on the temple is not material, it's a spiritual entity there, right? And the more that you love and the more relationship you have with the deity, the deity will also do things to you. There are people who have reported that the deity talks to them about things, complaints, fights. They do all those kind of things. They're very much alive, right? Jas Prabhupada gives such a nice example. He says that little letter box outside your house, the red one, where you go and put the letter. If you put your letter in that box, then it can go to 10,000 miles. But if you take the letter and put it in the dustbin, which is also outside the house, it's a box also, but the letter will not reach. So if you have whatever service you have to do to Krishna, you have to do it to the proper channel. So there is, and that's what Krishna is saying, that he knows that people will suffer the pangs of separation. And so that's why for our good, because our eyes are not yet premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena, right? Our eyes are not yet opened up properly. So he says, okay, fine, I'll come here. You can see material things. Okay, I will come in the material form, so-called material form, so that your eyes can see. But that's actually a transcendental form of the Lord. So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great, Mataji. Continue. And I will take Sadhana Mataji's raised hand here now.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. We're talking about the forms of Lord Krishna. And sometimes we read the words saguna and nirguna.
Yes.
And I was trying to tie them into these qualities because there's no direct definition in English for them. So can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah. So when we use the word sagun and nirgun, and we say that Krishna is nirgun, right? He's not sagun. Krishna nirgun. So what do we mean? Like guna, usually we understand is that guna is good qualities. So he's in nirgun, he doesn't have any guna. No. Here the word gun is used to represent the rope, right? I don't know how much can you see this, but this is an entwined piece, right? I think you can see that a little bit, right? If I move it a little bit. These are two little pieces of rope. They're entwined in each other. So that is a characteristic of the material world. It will entwine. Right? Yesterday also we were talking about, right? Karmani bandhini. So there is a bandhan. So similarly, these modes of material nature also entwine the soul. And so another word for rope is guna. So nirguna means that there is no such ropes of material things. So when we say Lord is nirguna, it doesn't mean he doesn't have any properties. What we're saying is he doesn't have any material qualities. He has got all spiritual qualities. He's para, like that. So understand nirgun and sagun as meaning that, right? And then again, there is two other words that people use, and that is sakar and nirakar. Okay, so sakar and nirakar, what does that mean? Akar means a form. So sakar means he has a form, and nirakar means he doesn't have a form. So some people say that Krishna doesn't have, God doesn't have a form. So they will go all the way up to Brahma Jyoti and they'll think they met the destination. And some people say that there is a form to the Lord, and then they will proceed further. They might go to Vaikuntha and visit Vishnu, or they can go even beyond and go to Goloka and meet with Krishna, like that. Yeah. So Sakar, Nirakar, Sagun, and Nirgun. Is that what you were looking for, Mataji?
Yeah, so nirguna is having material qualities.
Nir means no.
No such material qualities. And saguna is having spiritual qualities.
No. Saguna means having material qualities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when we are talking about nirguna and sagun, we are on a material plane. The discussion is happening on a material plane, and we are saying that, this body, Shraddha Devi Dasi, is sagun because she has a material body made of, earth, water, fire. So she is sagun. But if you look at Krishna comes and stands here, and you look at Krishna's same body looks the same, hand, eyes, ears, right? But he's not sagun. Why? Because when the substance that is used to create that form is not material. It is nirgun, doesn't have any material qualities. Doesn't have any material qualities.
Okay.
That's why he says he's para. Yeah, he's para. He's beyond. Right? That's what she's saying. Namaste Purisham Tadyam Ishwaram Prakirte Param. So you are beyond this material nature, material world. Okay, then Sukumara. Yeah. Were you saying something, Sadhana?
Oh, it was, I think, Varshana Mataji.
Varshana, were you saying, Mataji?
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Then you see, if it is made out of, not out of the spiritual elements, they are material elements, but still we consider the Archvigra as a spiritual. So how do we understand this?
Yeah, so have you seen murtis being made in Rajasthan? Rajasthan is where from most of the deities come, right? They're very good at that. If you see that, you will be shocked because the deity is lying on the ground and the carpenter is sitting on top of the murti and chiseling away, right? At that time, it is a statue. So we have to remember the difference between statue and a deity, right? Statue is a statue. You can have a statue of Stalin and you can have pigeons sitting on top of it and doing their thing, right? You can have statues of political leaders. You can put statues on the crossroads. You can do whatever, right? So those are statues. Then Archvigra. Archvigra is that, when through a proper process, a Pandit will go and do what is known as Pran Pratishtha. So they will do prayers and they will call the Lord to come and reside in this statue. And once that prayer is successful, then this statue, so-called statue, actually becomes a deity. So deity is God itself. So when you see the form there in the temple, the whole form is God. That is God. Although we might, fail to know, that is God. So next time when you go to the temple, if you go with that mood, that even here in this material world, I'm going to the Goloka embassy. So all these temples are small embassies, small offices of the Lord, made for us to go and visit him. Yeah. Right? Yes. And then your next question would be that, but what about the deity in my home? Nobody did Pran Pratishtha for that. What did I do wrong there, right? So what happens is that if a person prays nicely with a lot of love and affection in his heart, to the so-called statue in the home, the Lord will himself come and reside. Even in a painting, photograph, or whatever. All that you have to do is to just pray sincerely. Okay? Okay, Sukumalari Mataji, your turn now.
Hare Krishna. So in this verse, Shraddha Mataji, it says that Kunti Devi is puzzled whether Krishna is all pervasive or localized, but he is both. But in this particular instance, what does the word localized mean?
Localized as the Paramatma in the heart, local to her body.
Because she says that she sees him when he saves Uttara, but then I didn't understand what is localized. I know all pervasive, but localized means...
Yeah, localized means as Paramatma. When Lord comes as the Paramatma and resides in the heart, Prabhupada uses the term localized. That Krishna is here, local to you, right? Otherwise, Krishna is there in Goloka, right? And then Krishna is in the is there in each and every atom. So it's very, very difficult to understand, that it almost makes you God, right? If he's there in every atom, where is that place left where he's not there, right? So
it's up to him whether he wants to be localized in you or not, right?
He's always, by default, he's always localized. When a soul is born, when the soul is born, when the soul takes a body here, then the super soul accompanies. And I always say that, this is Krishna's love for us. That after punishing like if you punish the child, or if you punish a child and say, okay, go stand in the corner, the parent doesn't go and stand in the corner, right? The parent stays somewhere else in the room, although the heart might be, feeling bad. Or when the teacher says to a student, go stand outside the class, like that was like the biggest punishment that you could get, and complete fame is lost. and so you're standing outside. So similarly, Krishna said to us, like, go outside the spiritual world and you go there in the material world. And that's it. I've created that suit you. You are a naughty boy, you go there. And so we are here. But when we punish our kids and we ask them to go and stand outside, we also don't go and stand outside with them. We stay inside, angry with them. But Krishna is like that although he has sent us outside, but he follows us like a mom.
But then he decides whether or not to expose himself. If we are surrendered, then only he will, right?
Yes.
Even though he's localized, he does not expose himself.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, so
right. Athashi Krishna namadi na bhaved grahyanindri. You won't be able to see it just like that. And then Varshana Mataji, your very first question that you had, and tying it to was it Varshana? Yeah, I think it was Varshana Mataji. So question tying it to Sukumal Radhe Mataji, yours thing. And that was that you said that at least Krishna should show us to himself at least once, right? So that we'll have that desire, right? So
that's the thing.
Yeah, so we have this thing in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna did that. He did do that. That is, you show a little trailer, right? That's what they used to do when you used to go to the theater to watch movies. They would show a little trailer, and the choice scenes they would show them. You'd be like, this is the best movie. I have to watch it, right? So similarly, Krishna also shows his trailers a little bit. He comes and does the Leela over here. Why? Right? It's just a trailer. There's a lot more that goes on there, right? In more details. So he showed a little glimpse of Narad Muni. The Narad Muni was doing Dhyana Yoga. He was concentrating in his heart on the Krishna, and Krishna reveals himself. He reveals himself automatically. When he sees that, he's very happy. And then Krishna disappears. And once Krishna disappears, then Narad is a very small boy at that time, 5 or 6 years old. And he's seeing Krishna in his heart, and then he's gone. So now here's what they say with the Lord, that once you see him and when he disappears, you feel a lot of separation. Because you have seen the most beautiful thing in the world and your eyes cannot tolerate the disappearance. So he then sits down and then he sees a child, right? So he starts thinking, what was I doing? Okay, I had my eyes closed tightly. So he tries to close his eyes and he tries to bring that picture again in his heart through his own efforts, right? Let me close my eyes, let me sit still, let me do this. And then a grave voice comes from the top, and it says that you will never be able to see me in this lifetime because you still have some material desires, but continue doing whatever you're doing. And then he gets up and then he goes north and spends time in devotional service. Like that. So Krishna does show Varshana Mataji, but not to anybody and everybody. And yes, Sukomal Radhe Mataji, that he's not visible to everybody, right? He's not visible to everybody. But however, the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says that Kavi Puranam Manusashitaram Anonariyam Samanusmaridya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. And it's such a beautiful verse, one of my favorite verses. It's just telling you that how should you concentrate on the Lord in your heart. Kaveen Puranam. Kaveen means very intelligent. Puranam means very old, which means that he is the original person. So you think of Krishna in your heart as Kaveen Puranam Anushashitaram, the one who is the controller. And this is what Kunti Maharani is also saying, Ishvara, right?
Ishvara.
So he says, and then so Kaveen Puranam Anushashitaram, Anushashan is control, right? Maintaining law and order is through control. Anushashitaram Anor Aniyam Sam. So he is smaller than the atom. Anor Aniyam Sam Anusmaredhya. So one who thinks about Krishna like that. Anor Aniyam Sam Anusmaredhya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam. Sarvasya Dhataram, he takes care of everybody, provides for everybody. Sarvasya Dhataram, Achintya Rupam, that his form is difficult for me to conceive. I cannot conceive. Narad Muni tried that, closing his eyes and saying, come, I want to see. Could not do that. So Achintya Rupam, Aditya Varnam, this is beautiful. Aditya Varnam, Vishnu is there in golden color. Aditya is like the sun. So sun is effulgent. So like that golden sun color, you remember him like that, Aditya Varnam. Tamasa Parastat. Paras, you said, is beyond, right? So tamas, he's beyond. Tamas is ignorance or material. The Lord is beyond the material. So you can think of him in the heart like that. So Dhyan yogis do that. And then, he will be visible one day. And for those of us who can't wait and need to see a form, then he's there in the Archavigra form in the temple. Vindhyavali Mataji for the last, welcome. Vindhyavali Mataji for the last question of the day.
Yes, Mataji, I feel that like Varshana Mataji says, if God, he may not come in his own form in front of us. But like, if I feel that you are telling me Bhagavad Gita, I feel that Krishna is telling through you. So that's how I feel when I see the birds or see the flowers or see the trees or anything. I feel that God's creation, and I feel he is there everywhere. So he may not form in that Vigraha thing, but he will be in front of us, which we cannot see unless we have that like rishis and sages, like how they did tapasyas and all. It's very hard to see him, but we can see in the nature everywhere. In every in fact, small insect also, you can see the soul is there and is moving. And whose creation is that? That is God's creation. So we see that way. And then, like you said, by chanting, and then in the Vigraha also, temple, when they do the Prana Pratishtha, that has a lot of power in that. So that's why we walk into the temple, you feel that sanctuary, and then what is that divine feeling you get that because of Prana Pratishtha, he is there. Yes. So if we feel that way and see the Achavigraha that there in the temple, then automatically you feel that Krishna is in front of us. So that's how I feel. I don't know, sometimes. And if I do some kirtan or bhajan or anything, I feel that Krishna is listening and I want to see that what meaning, and I want to get into the picture. Like you said, Narada closed his eyes and tried to get the picture. Sometimes I want to get the Krishna's lotus feet picture to my eyes. Night, I close my eyes and try to. It takes a long time, but it comes into my picture.
Yeah, it's actually one of the forms. It's one of the forms of meditation. It's called Trikut or Tritak meditation, where you.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know what it is called, but I do get all the time from your ISV temple and Ramansaka Prabhu, and then here also this temple. For me especially, they put the lotus feet, the picture, deities pictures they send, So I see the lotus feet, they enlarge that, they send the picture. So I try to get that picture in my mind, and when I just want to see lotus feet.
Yes.
But
yes.
I do get, but it takes
Yes,
little time. Right
it-
away, when I close my eyes, I won't get it.
Practice.
But it
Yeah.
takes little time.
Yes.
Practice.
Practice, it will come. Yes. Yeah.
So that's how I just feel that way. Krishna is present everywhere.
Very nice.
And
Very
I
nice.
can see him. That's all I feel.
Very
That's
good.
what I wanted to tell.
Very
And
good.
then small children, you can
Yeah.
see the babies, they smile and they cry right away. Right away they cry, they smile. We always used to think, they still have that God here. They see the God, and if they don't see the God, they're crying. They see the God, they're smiling. See, small kids, they smile and right away they will cry. So that's how I just feel that. I don't know whether it's correct or not.
It's a nice way. Let's see what Virava Mataji has to say. So Komal Radhe Mataji, are you done with the questions? If you're done with the questions, then if you can lower your hand when I get the accurate count.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No problems. Okay. Virava Bhava for the last question.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Actually, I don't have a question, but the other day I'd read something Radhanath Swami had said about Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis. He had a Shaligam Shila he used to worship. And when he saw Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami worship the deities, he had this desire in his heart that even I want to do elaborate worship of my, like I want to Archa Vigraha. And he had the desire in his heart. And the next day, I think the Shaligam Shila manifested into the Radha Raman deity, which is in Vrindavan. And I just wanted to, it was just something I wanted to make a point in what Varshana Mataji said, that Krishna does reciprocate, like if we have that sincere desire in our heart. And also I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say actually. Thank you.
Yeah, like I was saying, there are so many examples of the deity reciprocating. Sakshi Gopal, right? The deity starts walking.
Sakshi Gopal,
and then Tota Gopinath, the deity sits down. Krishna Balram in, what is that called? Jagannath Baldev, they fight in Jagannath Puri. So there are so many instances of the deity. Or Kheer Chor Gopinath, he hides the kheer. So there are so many instances of deities. So the deity have got life, it's just that we don't see it.
Udupi Krishna, they say, Mataji, I don't know whether you heard that or not. The Udupi Krishna, when you go into front door, you cannot see him. He turns by that side because it has a story. It has a story. When devotee came and they didn't let him in or something, and he turned that side to give him darshan. That's why Udupi Krishna you cannot see direct there.
Yeah. On that wonderful note of Udupi Krishna, think about Udupi Krishna. Think about Krishna in any form that you want, right? And tomorrow, Vaisheshika Prabhu is going to give a fantastic class on how to make japa great again, and which will be followed by from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. non-stop kirtan. And then we'll also have our special prayers. I have posted that Zoom call there, the details there. And then we'll have our own special prayers for our near and dear ones who are suffering from 5 o'clock. Punyavali Mataji, 5 o'clock.
By 8 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
By 8 o'clock.
Yeah, you're 8 o'clock. Onwards to 2 hours. Okay. And then this Sunday morning, we will have our Bhagavad Gita class as usual. And this Sunday evening, as a special case, Vaisheshika Prabhu is teaching the class after a very long time. So don't miss that opportunity. And from now,
What time was it, Sunday?
Tomorrow, I will post it. I will post the note there so you can see that. Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasinubhyascha patitanam
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Mataji.
everybody for joining.
Thank you
Have a
very much.
fantastic